Hi guys, it's album review time. Sarayasign, The Lion's Road. Anyone who watches this channel will know I'm a huge fan of this band since their debut album came out last year. This channel, as many of you know who watch this this channel would know, for me it's all about promoting new bands, new music in the rock and metal world. And it's, of course, we're talking about our heroes from the past. I love talking about that as well. But for me, it's all about new music. This band exploded onto the scene last year. I still remember the day I got the email from the band, from Jesper Lindberg, asking me, I think, to react to one of the songs or have a listen. For some reason, it took a little bit of time to get around to listening to it. And when I heard it, I was blown away. I literally was blown away. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, especially like a debut single at that time. I was like, man, this band, they're amazing. They're so good at what they do. And of course, they brought out one of the best albums last year, which was Throne of Gold. And now they're back with The Lion's Road. This is the second album from this Swedish hard rock metal band. Cinematic band as well. I mean, they sound big. They really sound big. They sound cinematic because they've got this story that unfolds in the band as well as the music, which is outstanding. Sarayasign, the band, also has a story about Soraya, which is a fantasy world that Jesper Lindberg has put, pen to paper and come up with this great story as well. So what you got is concept albums. I believe 4 in total, going across, just telling this amazing story of Soraya. This album's 56 minutes and 20 seconds long. It's got 10 tracks this time, so it's 2 more than Throne of Gold had. It's coming out on August the 11th on Frontiers. It's the debut for Frontiers. So this band were signed to Melodic Passion Records, and in Frontiers, luckily for Frontiers, they picked this band up and, well, they made a great choice. It's one of the best bands that's on Frontiers altogether. Like I said, this is a concept album, as in Throne of Gold was, and the story will carry on. The second part of the story, another 2 to come in the world of Soraya. Like I said, it's a fantasy world, but really relatable to like personal experience as well. So, the story unfolds, but it's about love and good versus evil and all those wonderful things that that drag us in and want to listen to the world of Soraya, what it's got to give to us. Let me tell you now, it's 10 tracks of brilliance. It really is. I want to talk about the production first before we get onto the meat and bones of it. Let's talk about the production. It's amazing. It's even better than Throne of Gold. The sound of that album blew me away. When I first heard Sarayasign, it wasn't just about the songwriting and the brilliant instrumentalists and, the vocals and all that. It was also about the sound of it. It was huge, and I thought, this band have come out of nowhere. They got the most amazing sound. The mix and, the way it was mixed, Throne of Gold, and this one just takes it a step further. It's mixed by Jacob Hansen, this one, and man, I mean, he just ups everything you heard from Throne of Gold, and it's just, if you think it couldn't have got any better, the sound of the album, it has. It's got better. And what's amazing about this band as well is that it's a concept album, and I sometimes can't get on with concept albums. They have to be really special for me. And I always talk about, which many metal and rock fans talk about, the most amazing concept album I know is Operation Mindcrime. And with Operation Mindcrime, those songs stood on their own, as well as the concept. That's what Sarayasign do. Each song is a hit in itself. It's an amazing listen on its own. It's an amazing, even better experience, obviously, together. And obviously, that's how I listened to this album, together as a concept, if you like, from front to back. And man, it's just blown me away again. They are an amazing band. It's when you talk about for fans of, if you like, I know I've spoken about this before with this band, it's quite hard to pinpoint that sort of thing. Who do they sound like? I mean, they definitely stand out on their own as well, but obviously, with all great bands, they take influence from other great bands. What I can hear is some White Snake elements in here, I would say, some Dio stuff. Definitely the Alan Londe project, so you got, Jon Londe and Russell Allen, the few albums that they did a few years ago, which were outstanding. Definitely that sort of cinematic, big scope of music You know, I can hear that in there. And also sort of AOR tendencies as well. You know, bands like Wet, I would say. You know, I can hear those sort of melodic rock elements coming through as well. They have an amazing sound, this band. They really do. Let's talk about the members in the band because they have changed slightly. Stefan Inkvist on the lead vocals, man. I mean, he sort of almost somehow upped the vocal performance of Throne of Gold. I don't know how, but it's even more powerful, even more soulful. The way he just, you know, soars, and those vocal lines are just expertly, you know, sounded out across this album. He is one of the best vocalists out there. An amazing guy as well, spoken to him as well. So lovely guy. And what makes it better, you know, you're speaking to someone who's just one of the most amazing vocalists in the world. It's just brilliant. Jesper Lindberg, of course, the brainchild behind this whole thing. He wrote the Sarayasign story when he was really young. And, you know, he's kept this and it's built up, and now it's become like a dream for him to, you know, to convey it in music as well. What an intelligent, amazing songwriter. And on this album, drums, rhythm guitars, keyboards, soundscapes, loops, and all sorts of stuff. You know, he's got, this is his thing. This is his project. He's an amazing, intelligent guy that's produced some of the best music in recent times. But he's surrounded himself also by brilliant musicians like Stefan and the people I'm just about to talk about. Daniel Klev is the bassist and keyboardist. Yeah, I mean, what's amazing about the sound of this album is it brings out the best in every instrument, including the bass and drums. Nothing, you know, I was trying to think, you know, what is not right on this album sound-wise is that, and, you know, the bass just rumbles along and it stomps along with, you know, with the rhythm section. It's just amazing. Daniel Klev is a brilliant bassist. And then you got the newest addition to the band, Peter Lundin, and his lead guitar, rhythm guitars. I mean, man, some of the guitar work on this album, some of the solos, and what I love about the solos on this album is the inventiveness, the originality. You know, there's plenty of great guitarists out there, isn't it? The world of rock and metal is filled with brilliant guitarists. But it's those ones that give you little bits you're not expecting, or, you know, really inventive on the guitar. The songwriting on the guitar solos on this album, it's just amazing. Some of the rhythm playing as well. Some really cool riffs coming out. Really inventive, like I said. You know, when you talk about inventive people on the guitar, we're talking Eddie Van Halen, Ronnie Latecro, you know, people like that. People that are really, Vito Bratta being another one. When you hear something a bit different, it's really like the first time you've heard something. And like I said, there's guitars everywhere. Guitarists, there's so many now, isn't it? But there ain't many times where you go, oh, look, that bit, man, that was just amazing. That's what you get on this album. You get some really inventive stuff from Peter Lundin. He can obviously play anything, but it's the writing of the solos, which for me is just absolutely stand out on this album as well. So, man, you might know that I love this band. I love this album. Side by side with Throne of Gold. It's probably too early to tell at the moment. It sounds like the perfect follow-on. But everything on it at the moment, after 2 listens, it sounds like a step up. And that's just an amazing feat on its own, considering Throne of Gold was just, you know, it just come out of nowhere and it blew me away so much. And now you've got something that improves on that. It's just mental. Anyway, we're going to go on to the songs. I'm going to talk about every track, especially as it's a concept album, but usually I pick out the best tracks. I've got to talk about all of them because they're all brilliant. So we start off with the song When All Lights Go Out. Look for the lights, beyond the shadows, they burning bright, like fireflies, they will tell everything's gonna be alright. This was a single. An amazing start to the album, groove-laden guitar riffs, Stefan's huge vocals explode into this song. It's an absolutely huge chorus that is just an instant earworm. It's just there. The first solo from Peter Lundin is a monster. It really is. What an addition to this great band, like I said before. Already, like, from the start, I'm captivated and transported into the world of Soraya, because that's so important to the band, and you can feel that almost. This band really knows how to pull you in. They really do. What an outstanding opening track. Then we move on to Blood from Stone. Wow, I mean, man, if it couldn't get any better, it does right here. As with many songs from Sarayasign, there is an atmospheric, sort of quiet start. You get that quite a bit on this album. There's no actual songs totally dedicated to, you know, the concept, as in, like, you don't get minute snippets of talking or acting or anything like that. But there's little bits sometimes on the beginning of the songs, which I think just is perfect, because what you don't get sometimes with, and this is what I don't like about concept albums sometimes, you get a whole song dedicated to, you know, parts, like I said, talking or something like that. None of that on here. They're almost like just little bits here and there. I mean, man, this is such an atmospheric, quiet start before the song just explodes into your ears again. It's a brilliant medium-paced track that is just filled with emotion. This one has a real sort of cool, crunchy, gapping riff, leading to a huge melancholy chorus. Just wow, I love this song. You feel the build up to the solo, you just feel it coming. And the way Lundin's guitar heroics explode into the song is just amazing. One of the best solos you will ever hear this year. I mean, I was so blown away by the solo. There's a couple of songs at the moment that are really like standing out to me. There's lots of them, standouts, but Blood from Stone is definitely one of them. A Way Back is the next track. Man, the quality is relentless as well. This light and shade the band dip in and out of is just so impactful. There's 1 minute it's heavy, it's crunchy, guitars have your head going, then they transition into beautiful little quiet parts, and then back again. And the transitions are just so seamless. It's almost, this one's almost like a ballad, but quite heavy at the same time. I think it's the emotion the band give off sometimes, and they convey that emotion where it makes you feel almost balladry in nature. Peter Lundin's solo on this one just oozes emotion as well. Another huge song, and you realise that you're, at this stage, you're hearing something special and something that you might have expected, because you know how good the band are, but you realise that they've not dipped at all. They've just, the quality has just gone up tenfold. It's brilliant. The Beginning of the End is the next song. This is also the point where you realise any track could be a single. You know what I mean? They could release anything off this album. They're all really catchy. They're all huge sounding, and the guitar work is, I know I've mentioned Peter Lundin a lot, but he is a real standout here. It's just outstanding, so inventive, and that's just the riffing. I mean, we ain't even got to the solo yet on this one. There's a beautiful atmospheric part, the few seconds just before you lead into another mind-blowing, almost shredding solo at this point, before the band explode again into that soaring chorus to end another surefire hit of a song. Will You Find Me is a ballad. It is actually a ballad. Some of these, like I said, are so emotional and that you can't really tell sometimes, or they've got the feel of a ballad, but this one is a ballad. After a crushing riff, the song comes into an almost standstill, and Inkvist shares vocals, this time with a brilliant vocalist called Olivia Thorne. It's a beautiful duet, and the two vocalists just seamlessly sort of trade off. It's mainly Inkvist's vocals, the sort of the main part of this song, with Thorne sort of coming in and out and adding extra layers as well. And also Olivia Thorne does appear on other parts of this album as well, but this is the main song that she is singing on. And with Olivia Thorne sharing vocals, it also helps sort of elevate the great sort of storytelling that Lindberg has created across this concept. It's a huge song. Next up is Ever Dying Night.
He's nothing but a thief in the night, looking for gold. Suddenly you realize he's after your soul.
This was the first single. This is where I feel they've almost sometimes got like a 70s influence coming through slightly. I hear Whitesnake, I think, in some of these songs and melodies. Of course, there's 70s influences, just a tiny bit of their sound. They are definitely an entity of their own, but this is such a fresh, modern sound at the same time. It's a great choice for a single, by the way, Ever Dying Night. You know, it's the perfect choice because it's a real rocker, but in the concept of the album, it fits perfectly. The Lion's Road, the title track, is next. It's what all title tracks should be. It's an epic. It's epic as fuck. When Inkvist roars and kicks in at the beginning, gives you chills, man. Hair stand on the back of the neck. It's just amazing stuff. Hearing Stefan sort of pouring out those vocal lines with that clean guitar as well. And then the big riffs crash in. It's perfect songwriting. It's epic. It's slightly symphonic. And above all, so infectiously hooky. Love Will Burn is the next track. sort of a ballad in nature as well. Piano and vocal start, builds the tension and strings are introduced and we find ourselves sort of in ballad territory again, but there's so much more to it than that. It's a song that really puts Inkfist as I would say, the focal point. He's up front on this, as the guitar is a little laid back in the mix. An outstanding performance by him as he shows he's, like I said at the beginning, one of the best vocalists around at the moment. I love the more simpler but emotional solo from Lundin as he plays with sort of less fuzz on his guitar, less fuzz effect. Another amazing heartfelt track. We move on to Hope and the Sorrow. This is track 9, Sarayasign, showing again the great groove pocket that they get in with those verses. They soar into a brilliant chorus that gives me slight feels of one of my favourite songs from Throne of Gold, and that's Sandman. It gives me slight feels of that. Already, Hope and Sorrow is almost the gem that I sort of latched onto with Sandman. You know, that's what I did with the first album. It almost stood out to me, and this song does it for me as well. It's a huge song that has everything you might want from this brilliant band. This song, I think, sums up why everyone, absolutely everyone needs to listen to this band now. Next up, we move on to the last track, Throne of Gold Part 2, A Heartless Melody. Obviously, we had the brilliant Throne of Gold Part 1 on the first album. This is 7 minutes and 8 seconds long. I think that might be a little bit shorter than the Throne of Gold Part 1. This band obviously have such an epic feel with all their music, but this sort of complements everything they are and ramps it up at the close of the album, as it should. An extended atmospheric 2 minutes before the guitars crash in. Of course, this song does not disappoint in the slightest. It's heavy, it's catchy, and above all, it's got that unmistakable Sarayasign sound that, you know, I love already. They're a new band, but fell in love with their sound already. The song has everything. It's got ballady parts, it's got rocking parts, it's got their cinematic feels all over it. The guys ramp everything up for the finale of the album, and it's one of the albums of the year. It's gonna be, and it should be on the list. Everyone who covers, you know, lists from YouTube channels to written reviews, and who does lists for their albums of the year, this album should be on it. High up. It's an amazing album to listen to from front to back. It fits perfectly alongside Throne of Gold. It even ups Throne of Gold, which was one of the standout albums from last year. I can't get enough of this band. This is an array of so much talent in this band, from songwriting to, you know, technical wizardry on the guitars, soaring vocals, the amazing songwriting, of course, by Jesper Lindberg. I mean, let's not forget, behind this brilliance of this album is a bit of a mastermind, and Jesper Lindberg is a talent that hopefully, you know, the world could latch onto and realise how clever this guy is in the songwriting department. The instruments he plays, he's brilliant on the drums. You know, he's brilliant on just creating this whole world of Soraya, but the music being the main thing, but this story that's going along in the back, which is so clever and so interesting to listen to. Guys, I think you know I like this album. This is amazing. The band is Sarayasign. The album is The Lions Road. It's out on August the 11th on Frontiers. I know I say sometimes, guys, get this album, you know, you're going to like it. You are definitely going to love this album. Order it right now. Do the band a favour as well, because, you know, it's so hard in the music industry and they deserve, I mean, I don't know a band that deserves it more from listening to this album. It's just amazing stuff. Guys, Sarayasign, The Lions Road, check it out, guys. It's coming out soon. Let me know what you think. If you're going to get it, in the comments below. I'll see you soon.